Good evening. It is Thursday, the 31st day of March 2014. Welcome to Citizen Live at 9. Tonight, the country is trying to digest news from State House, Nairobi. The president told an expectant nation at 8:27 p.m. that 500,000 acres of land in Lamu, that is 70% of the habitable land, had been irregularly dished out to private racketeers between 2011 and 2012. This is during the tenure of Siaya Senator James Orengo as lands minister. President Uhuru Kenyatta said the fraud, which he called a criminal conspiracy, is frustrating cohesion efforts in the county, where close to 100 people have been killed in the last 2 months. The president's shocking revelation is bound to generate much political heat in the coming days. Let's listen now to what the president had to say.
Thank you very much, Manoa. Again, let me just join Manoa in apologizing for starting late, but as you know, it's been a long day. We had leaders from the region discussing issues of mutual concern, but we had also set aside today for a meeting with Lamu County leaders, where I was advising them or letting them know of certain decisions that my government is intent on taking with regard to Lamu County. And in the spirit of openness and transparency, I thought it necessary for me to share with my fellow leaders from Lamu County. Let me say, fellow Kenyans, that my government is committed to securing the dignity, well-being, and property of every Kenyan without fear or favor. For this to be achieved, we are clear that land plays a crucial role in ensuring equity and driving the economic growth that will provide the improved livelihoods that our citizens and communities yearn for. We look forward to Kenya as a democracy founded on the security of property ownership and the opportunities that come with it. This vision has guided my government's transformative program in the land sector. Our actions are already bearing fruit in terms of service delivery, and we're only getting started in what will be far-reaching and impactful action. Fellow Kenyans, so far, we have earnestly pursued a comprehensive program on the issuance of title deeds to which significant resources have been allocated, ensuring that citizens and families have security of tenure with increased food production, create more investment opportunities, and improve housing and health outcomes. It will also minimize disputes over ownership between individuals, families, and communities. The overall result will be empowered Kenyans whose efforts are joined to increase opportunities for all. Last year, we began this program in the coast region. While in Lamu, I directed the Cabinet Secretary for Lands, Housing and Urban Development to carry out a comprehensive audit of the land allocations in Lamu County. This audit is now complete and has revealed a number of shocking details. We have established that between 2011 and 2012, almost 500,000 acres of public land, which is approximately 70% of the land within Lamu County, available for settlement and other productive purposes, was alienated to 22 private entities under dubious and suspiciously corrupt circumstances. While a few used illegal means for their own gain, the many thousands of families living in this county occupy only 30% of the land available for settlement and production. We have established that this alienation was not done in accordance with the principles underpinning land management in the Constitution of Kenya, nor the laws regulating public land alienation at the time. This criminal conspiracy has disposed individuals and families living in this region of their land and opportunities for improving their well-being. It has also helped fuel the current insecurity being experienced in the region and frustrated our efforts in building cohesion in the county. For far too long, this pattern of mismanagement of our public resources has resulted in dispossession, strife, and poverty of Kenyans. This level of impunity revealed by the audit is unprecedented, untenable, and indeed unacceptable. In light of the foregoing, I have instructed the Cabinet Secretary for Lands, Housing and Urban Development and the National Land Commission to revoke, repossess these land parcels with immediate effect. I further call upon the Inspector General of Police, the Criminal Investigation Department, the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission to commence investigations with a view to bringing to account all persons who are involved in this criminal enterprise without exception. As I said, ladies and gentlemen, earlier today, I hosted the presidents of Uganda, President Yoweri Museveni, Prime Minister Hailemariam Desalegn of Ethiopia, and President Salva Kiir Mayardit of South Sudan to explore ways of financing our massive 24 billion LAPSET project. I am determined that we must ensure that the kind of criminality that we have seen in land transactions in Lamu County will neither derail nor delay one of the most important transformative regional trade and investment projects of our time. Therein ends my statement, and I thank you. And we will continue this meeting with our colleagues from Lamu County tomorrow as we continue to discuss more issues affecting that county in a view of ensuring that we bring an end both to insecurity and we begin the real work that Kenyans gave us of ensuring prosperity, equity, fairness, and ultimately the growth of Lamu County and Kenya as a whole. I thank you for your attention. Thank you very much.
That was President Uhuru Kenyatta, who has ordered the revocation of title deeds for some 500,000 acres of land illegally and irregularly allocated to some 22 entities between the year 2011 and 2012. Addressing the media at State House a short while ago, after meeting with Lamu County leaders, the President said the alienation of the said land was not done in line with the Constitution. The President termed the irregular allocation of the 500,000 acres as an unacceptable and criminal act. The President has consequently ordered, as you have heard, the Inspector General of Police, David Kimayo, and the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission to probe the massive land grab with a view to apprehending suspects behind the irregular acquisition and possible prosecution of the said suspects. Joining me now is Francis Gashuri. He is our senior political reporter. You're just back from State House. What more can you tell us that has come out of this briefing?
Thank you, Anne. The findings under the report by the President is going to touch quite a number of people, and in fact quite a number of big landowners in the coast region and specifically Lamu County. We're talking about 476,000 acres of land that is alleged to have been acquired irregularly between April and November 2012. And of course, this was just before the general election, and these are the titles that the President has ordered that they be revoked immediately. And in his statement, he's insisting that the land acquisition question in Lamu County is the catalyst to the violence that we've witnessed in that county in the last few weeks or so. And maybe if you allow me, I can take you through quickly the list of the companies or the registered people who, or companies whose title deeds the president has ordered revoked immediately. Number one is Brick Investments Limited. It acquired 40,014 acres of land. The second one is Brick Investments Limited, again 40,014 acres of land. Then there is Rasken International Limited, 40,014 acres. 40,014 acres of land. Then Mart International, 40,014 acres of land. Witu Nyangoro Ranch DA Company, 79,534 acres of land. Then Witu Conservation Self-Help Group, 54,201 acres of land. Then Shanghai Investments Limited, 19,760,000 acres of land. Then FinCorp Investments Limited, 41,990. Then Kaab Investments, 6,268 acres of land. Then Sheila Ranch Limited, 5,399. Then Dynamic Trading Company Limited, 22,230 acres of land. Then Savannah Fresh Fruits Exports, 24,502 acres of land. Mokoe Kibokoni Ranch Limited, 6,725. Then Pandanguo Boni, 12,350. And then there is Baragoni Boni Community, 19,760. Then Kalrala Ranch, 12,276. And then Cyberdome Investments, 11,000 acres of land.
And
that
those
is
are
totally
22 companies.
That is 17, and together with some ranches that have been listed as Baragoni Ranch, Enganani Ranch, Lamu Investments, Amu Ranch, and Maalim Ranch. In total, this list indicates that they have been they acquired 476,051 acres of land.
There was that meeting that the president had with the regional heads of state on the LAPSET project, and we did hear him say that he wasn't going to let anything derail that process. Is some of the land perhaps mentioned there part of LAPSET, or what is the relation?
Absolutely. Part of the LAPSET project, the land that was to be, on which the LAPSET, some of the LAPSET projects were to be built on, has also allegedly been grabbed. And in fact, 20 out of the 21 berths for the Lamu port, 13 have been allocated to land grabbers, according to this statement. So basically, you can conclude that one of the reasons why the president probably met Prime Minister of Ethiopia, Haile Mariam Desalegn, and the President of South Sudan, Salva Kiir Mayardit, and the President of Uganda, Yoweri Museveni, was specifically to discuss this matter. And that's why you realize that the State House meeting took quite long, both for the heads of state and also the Lamu County leaders. The meeting that we just come from State House, Nairobi, this evening. All
right, Gashuri, just stay with us. I want to come to Karanja Kabage. You are an advocate of the High Court. The first thing that pops to mind is, under the new constitution with a National Land Commission in place, can the president order that title deeds be revoked?
Well, this issue is very tricky, and I think we would be making a lot of presumptions if we just look at it as an ordinary issue. One would like to delve into it much more deeply than just looking at it casually. Because if you look at Article 40 of the Constitution, it talks about that the protection of property rights. Now, but in that article, if you look at sub-article 6 of it, it is very clear that any land that may be illegally or irregularly acquired does not enjoy the constitutional protection. That is what one would have to look at. Now, what is really emerging from what has been said is that there is apparent case of massive irregularity or illegality that has taken place as far as this issue is concerned. Now, what you're asking is whether the president, under the new constitution, he is empowered to revoke the titles. that are being referred to. The Constitution does not extend to the position of the President doing that. Now, he probably was announcing what has happened, maybe through the National Land Commission or the Ministry of Land, Housing and Urban Development. But also you must realize that even when there is a revocation of any title, remember the affected individuals have a right to go to the court and litigate this matter. So we may not have had the last of it as far as this issue is concerned. But I think we must be very cautious until we have really seen what is informing this issue, because I think there is a lot of, it is laced with gravity that is not very ordinary.
Prof, let me bring you in on this. The National Land Commission has been, well, its leadership at least has been at loggerheads with the Lands Ministry. How effective do you see them pulling this off? A situation that is definitely muddied with a lot of political interest. You will remember the President going even as far as saying that he believes the opposition in particular, not 22 private companies, but the opposition were involved in the violence that we saw at the coast. And then now this move to link the companies, and obviously under the tenure of James Orengo, who is a Accord luminary. So what are your thoughts? Is National Land Commission strong enough to act on this matter decisively?
I think, what has happened, if it is true what the President is saying actually took place, it is a national scandal of immense proportions. But when you look at the National Land Commission and the announcement that the President is making, it's not possible for me to say how much input they played with regards to these findings. If these findings were only for Honorable Ngilu or were for the National Land Commission working with Honorable Ngilu, no. So looking at the relationships that have been there, you get the impression that probably the National Land Commission played very little role, because it has not been working with Ngilu as much as we expect them to do. But I would like also to make a little response.
Right. I think we're having a bit of a sound challenge with your microphone, Professor. I apologize for that. Gashuri, perhaps just your own conclusions in terms of the politics that is likely to ensue out of this, given also the shifts that we are seeing within the opposition movement itself. We're seeing some sort of discontent, if you like, from a section of coast members. How do you think this particular land issue will play out into the politics of the coast?
It's going to be very interesting in the coming days. Of course, you expect some reaction, especially from the, let's say, the directors and owners of these companies who own the land that has been revoked, whose titles have been revoked by the President and the Ministry of Lands and Urban Development. And of course, you can expect that in the next few days, a lot of national politics will be centered on this Lamu land issue. Tomorrow the President says he will continue deliberating with Lamu County leaders, and so you expect probably some of the discussions will center around what next, because the question of security in Lamu County remains paramount, even as the government revokes the title deeds for these landowners.
Yeah, and coast politics now certainly shaping national politics. Thank you all for your views. We'll return to this conversation on Opinion Court a little later. Let's move on to some of the other stories making headlines. And the Ministry of Health has heightened surveillance of Kenya's entry points to ensure prompt detection and management of any suspected Ebola cases. Airports and international borders are especially on the lookout for arriving passengers who may have recently traveled to West Africa, where the viral disease has killed more than 600 people, with Liberia, Guinea and Sierra Leone the most affected. Anmawade has more on the story.